Alright, in this video we are going to see how to create this plugin. This is called a Masonry Grid Gallery plugin with WordPress. So now the features that we are going to use is we will be seeing how to create a custom table and a custom menu page. So this is the custom table that we have created, which has the URL and the uploaded time date and the URL of the image. So you can see, so these datas are getting fetched and displayed on this particular page. You can see the image is showing up, the URL is showing up. If you wish to delete, you can delete it. So we are going to create a custom menu page. So you see, this is a custom menu page. In case if you want to upload some of the images to the gallery, you are able to do that. Now you see the image got added, and as you refresh, you'll see the image got added in the gallery also in the front end. This is the page where you'll see this HTML with the help of the shortcode. And I just wanted to show you this happened without the page reload. So we are using the Ajax feature. Once I click on the delete, you'll see without page reload the data would get deleted. The same way, if I refresh, the lady photo will not be there on the grid. So this is a masonry grid. This is not a regular gallery. You see, this is a masonry grid. The image fits itself to the place where it should be. Fine. Now we have seen how to create a form and the table that displays the list, also the delete button, and the feature is Ajax. I have shown you the feature of deleting. If you want to delete something, you can just click on delete and it will without page reload, you'll see it got deleted. And the shortcode, I just need to put the shortcode, and once I put the shortcode, the data which is in this table will be automatically fetched and get displayed on this particular page. Now let me show you the features. First of all, what we need to do is we just need to get into this menu and click on this. And once I click on this menu, you'll see a page that opens up. You'll be able to upload an image. So if I click on upload, let me just select this image and click on use this image, and you see the image immediately gets displayed on this table without the page reload. And once this is done, I would be pasting the shortcode. Once I paste this shortcode in any of the page and I I open the page, what I'll see this masonry grid, and I see this is getting repeated. Then I'll go there and I'll delete the one which I don't want. Without page reload, it's getting deleted, and if I refresh the page again in the front end, that image is gone. And now this is a beautiful masonry grid. Fine, this enough with the intro for the plugin. Let me just get into the code. This is episode number 8. In case if you wish to learn WordPress development from scratch, I have a course for it. I would be teaching from HTML, which will have 100 of project, and CSS, which will again have 100 of project, and then JavaScript, which will have again 100 of project, and finally we'll reach to the plugin development. This is the link that will have the roadmap. You see roadmap for the WordPress developer. The HTML project I'll teach you how to convert the PSD to HTML, and in the CSS we will have hundreds of project that you can use it for your portfolio. And not to forget, again, JavaScript has hundreds of project in it. And the second and the third step, you need to focus on PHP and MySQL, and then a little bit of WooCommerce. Once you complete the WooCommerce, you can start with the theme development. Theme development will only be possible once you able to master these three: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Once you master the theme development, you can directly jump into the plugin development, and you can start with where you are now. As of now, if you don't have any knowledge about HTML and CSS, I would strongly recommend to go to this website, which is my website, and take the course, which is free right now. As of now, it's free, but in the future, I'll make it as a pay. For the HTML, you have 56 episodes, and for CSS, we have hundreds of 104 projects, and then we have for the JavaScript, again, hundreds of projects, which you can use it in your portfolio. Cool, enough with the intro. Now let's get into the code. For the first thing, let me just deactivate the plugin so that our code doesn't get conflict with the code we are about to create. What we need to do is we need to get into our plugins folder. As of now, I have set up my website in the local host, so I have got into the plugin folder. I'm going to create new, and I'm going to name it as gallery, this folder name. And once it is set, I need to create a new file. It would be a PHP file, and it should have the name similar to the folder name. So first of all, we want to list our plugin in this particular page. So for that, we need to display some metadata. So metadata will be in the form of comment. Now we are passing the plugin name, we are passing the description, we are passing the version number, we are passing the author, and you can name this as UI Monk Gallery. And once you refresh the page, you should see the UI Monk Gallery, which has the description, which has the version, which has the author name. If I click on activate, once I click on activate, what I need is I want to enter a table on the database. I want to create a table on the database. So for that, we'll be using a function called register activation hook. I'm going a little forward because little fast, because it's already episode number 28. I have described line by line how the table is getting created in the previous episode, so I don't want to repeat it again on all the episodes. So we'll just focus on the core concept, which in this case is wp underscore localize underscore script. So for this, once I click on activate, I want a function to run, and that function will create a table on this particular database. So for that, we just need two things. We need wpdb global variable, and the second thing is register activation hook. And now we have inside the register activation hook, I have called the global object, which is wpdb, which will act as a medium between our code and the database. So this is the reason this is responsible for running the query insert, update, and delete. So with this wpdb, you can see I am creating a table. I'm creating SQL first, which will have the column ID, image URL, and creator time. I'm setting the primary key as an ID, and I'll be using a delta db function. This delta db function is responsible for running our custom query, custom table. So if we are using the default WordPress table, we would have access to wp-query, but since we are creating our own custom table, this delta db will help us to execute the code. So I have stored this query into a variable, and I have run the function with the help of pass the SQL as an argument. So to make this delta db work, we need to locate where the delta db is. Delta db function is actually defined inside the wp admin, inside includes, and inside upgrade.php. So this is enough. Once you activate, you will see, once you activate your plugin, you will see a table would get created. I'll just name it as 2 because already a table is there in the name. Now if I click on activate, it would activate, and over here a new table should be created, which is mg-2 underscore 2. I have just renamed it, so you can see the column got created. Now what I need is I have to display a menu on the sidebar. So to display a sidebar on the menu, we will be calling a admin menu hook and attach our function, and this function will have the function that is responsible for displaying the menu. So this is going to be the page name, this is going to be page title, this is going to be the option for the author, which is me, admin option for the admin. This is a capability that we need to give, it's a keyword, and this is the slug, and this is the function. Once I click on it, what should happen? Once I click on it, we want something to happen. So in this case, let me just display echo, and this is the icon. This is enough to display your menu on the sidebar. So once I click on it, you'll just simply have a text called hello. Now we need to display the HTML. Now I have just, once I click, what we have is we just have a button. We just need to focus on the ID of the button, and then we have a table. This table is exactly the same as the table that we have in the database, which is ID, image, the image that would be displayed, and then the URL, and then the action. The action is responsible for deleting the whole row, and this we will use. As of now, the table is empty, so that's why this is, we will be, once we populate the table, what we do is we'll fetch all the data from the table and display it with the help of for each loop. Now you'll just see a button and the table header. Now once I click on upload, what should happen? Once I click on upload, media gallery should open up. So for the media gallery and the JavaScript, once I click, I want to append them over here. So we have to enqueue the script, and for the media gallery, media library API, we have the CSS, we have the JavaScript that need to be called. So for that, WordPress gives you a function called enqueue script, and we need to pass the media. And if you see, this is the admin enqueue script. So we have WP enqueue script and we have admin enqueue script. WP enqueue script is for the front end, admin enqueue script is for the dashboard. So once we have used the admin enqueue script, and this function will be called. This is the hook, and this is a function that will be called, and this is nothing but what page we are actually in. So it will check whether we are in the top level menu, as we have already discussed. The top level menu, the top level page is actually the whatever you see right now is called top level page, and along with top level page you'll see a underscore and then the slug. So the slug is masonry gallery. So I'm saying if this is not this current page, then don't run the below code. That's why I said return. I have got into detail in the previous episode. I'm not getting into detail again. For the submenu, we will have just the settings page, settings underscore page underscore the slug, and if it is in tools, it is called tools underscore page underscore slug, and that's it. And now, as I said, to click on a button, I want a media gallery to open up. So for that, we have WP media. So this function will add the required CSS, JavaScript for media library, and then for the admin, and then for the JS, for our JS, I'll just create a new file and name this file as this one. Let me just control N, control something, control S, and then save this file as JS. And I need to call that file. Right now I have created in front of you, and I need to call that file. Whatever script I'll write here, I need to call that, right? So this is the handle for that. It's for WordPress, we don't have to worry about it. And this is the location which WordPress gives you to find our created JavaScript file. And then I am saying that to run this file, I need the dependency of jQuery. So this parameter says dependency. So before running my file, I want the help of the jQuery. So it will load jQuery first, and then our this JS file which I have created. And this is for the version, and this is for whether to load on the front whole body. The JavaScript will load on the head tag or on the body tag. If it is true, it will load on the head tag. If it is false, it's load on the body tag, or at the end of the body tag. And then this is the WP localize. WP localize is the hero of this tutorial, because we are exploring this a bit today. So what it does is it will simply send the PHP value to the JavaScript. I'm repeating again, we are sending the PHP value, some kind of value, to the JavaScript. So what are we going to send? So we will be sending it in the form of object. So X is the key and Y is the value. Consider, so we can access the object is the Y. Consider a Y. We can access this Y in the JavaScript. So and the pitch is this is going to be the key. So here the key will act as the Ajax underscore array, Ajax underscore URL, and the value that we will be sending is admin underscore Ajax dot php. So what it will do is it will convert your normal URL into the Ajax URL. So what it will do is it will simply convert this function into, in the place of Y there will be this raw URL. So we are passing the key as this one and the value as this one, so that I can access it in my JavaScript file over here. So I'll show you in action. So I hope that is clear. If that isn't clear, rewatch the video. And we will be accessing it in JavaScript with this keyword followed by this key. So this is how we'll be accessing it in JavaScript. I'll show you once we access it. Now we have seen the media library API related JavaScript to get load, and our JS would be loaded, and finally we are sending the PHP value to our JavaScript. Cool. Now we need to write the function for the click event, and now simply what I'm doing is when the HTML is loaded, this query will make sure that all your HTML is loaded, then our JavaScript will load. I have added a click event listener on the button. So by default, when I click, the page will reload. So to stop that, I have made e.prevent default. Now to activate the media library, what we have is wp.media will trigger the media library, and we are making the title as select or upload image, and we are customizing text of the media library, which is use this image, and I'm saying that I need to select only one image at a time, so multiple is false. And now I'm saying when I select the image, what should happen? When I select the image, get the state of the image, get the image what I have selected and select only the first image and convert it into JSON and store it into a value called attachment. Now what I'll do is I'll use this attachment to send the AJAX request. So we need to send the ID and we need to send the URL so that I can store it into the database. So here ID and the URL. So we need to pass the AJAX value. So we'll write AJAX code and you'll see I have made the AJAX code. As I said, I am going to access the URL with the WP localize. So we are passing the URL to the JavaScript and I am accessing it. So here it's going to be the URL of the AJAX, and then I am sending the action. So as we have already seen, to trigger the AJAX we need action and we are passing the URL. So once the URL is sent, what we need to do is we need to get the response, and that response will immediately populate the row. So let's do that. So you see, once I get the response, I'm just populating the table row. So this table row is for this one. We have an ID, so we'll be getting the output from the AJAX. So let's create the output from the AJAX and then I'll explain this what it is. How are we going to define this AJAX request will be sent to a hook, and that hook will be depend on this action you are giving. So mig underscore save underscore image. So you'll see mig underscore save underscore image and you're passing the wp underscore AJAX. So this AJAX request will be handled by this function. So that's why we use action over here on the JavaScript to link. Now it's simply an update operation. Once you click on we are sending it as a post request. You can see post request, and I'll be accessing it with the help of post super global variable, and I'll store it into a variable with the help of wp I'll be inserting it just the URL, and on response, as a response I'm submitting what ID it has and what URL I'm fetching. So you can see wp underscore send underscore JSON success. So these in return will send the response in the response over here. So I can have access to the ID, I can have access to the URL and surrounding it into the image tag and just displaying the raw URL, and I'm displaying the button. Now this is enough to show our image on this particular page. Once I click on it, you see this got changed, and if I click here and use this image shows up, and on close you should see the image. We got the response from the AJAX, and as a response we are creating this HTML and displaying it over here. So on page refresh you will not see the data that got fetched from the database and displayed here, because we have not written code for this in the HTML. When I click on the menu, I want the data to be fetched and displayed on this page. So for that we will simply use the query and change the table name and select all the value, and it's stored in the images, and we need to populate this as said earlier, a simpler for each loop. And I'll be displaying, and just the point that need to focus on is the table row has an ID, so that when I click on the delete button I would have access to the ID and know which ID that need to get deleted. So that's, now let's write the delete function on the JavaScript, and we'll use the AJAX the same way that we have add. To add AJAX, you should know that we need to define an action with this custom name. And now you see when I click on the button, I got the table row ID, and I'm passing the ID with the help of AJAX, and you can see this is the action, and this function will get a response. Once I get the response, I'll remove the row by itself. Now we need to add the wp underscore admin underscore wp underscore AJAX underscore this function name to our hook, and this is the hook that triggers this function, and this function simply delete the, you can see, first of all I'm getting it in the form of post. It will be in the form of string, so I'm typecasting it to int, and I'm passing the int to the query just to delete the row. And once the row is done, just we are sending nothing as wp underscore send underscore JSON as function, This will send nothing, and simply on the response the row will get deleted. So if I refresh and click on delete, it will get deleted. Cool. Now it's time to add the shortcode. And to add the shortcode, I want this CSS to automatically load. So for that we need to add our custom CSS first thing, and WordPress itself has a feature called Masonry, so we need to add that too. Just like we have media API library, we have Masonry, which WordPress by default provides. So we need to create a file called CSS file in the same folder called gallery, and we need to paste our HTML. And once our HTML is done, sorry, CSS is done, we are linking it. This is the handle, this is the URL for the WordPress to know where our CSS actually is. And then this is the feature, just like we have a media library, and this is a feature provided by WordPress. And this is the enqueue script. Enqueue script and admin, we have seen enqueue script and admin script difference. This loads on the front end, and admin script loads admin enqueue script, which is called admin enqueue script, loads on the dashboard. Now for the shortcode, we need to write add code, and this is a shortcode. We need to surround it inside square bracket, and this is a relevant function once the shortcode is called. And what we need to display all the values from the table and display it in the form of HTML. So a regular CRUD operation, get all the values from the table and store it into the images, and just display it like like our custom function. The parent should have the class called mig underscore masonry, and each image container will have mig item. So let's just say masonry container and item as a column. So this is the container for the columns, and this is the actual individual column, and individual column has the images, and these values is called, you can see it's in the form of image tag, and we are passing the URL, and that's it. This is very straightforward. I don't think I have to explain it again at this episode number 28. Now as I refresh, the image which I added is displaying here. Now let me add some of the images. Let me just refresh it. Let me see delete operation works or not. I don't think. Refresh this page, it shows up but it's not deleted. Yeah, it works. Now if I select some of the images, let's say this one, use this image, use this image, use this image, and if I click on the front end, you should see the added images. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for listening. Meet you tomorrow with another hook.